Hello, my name is Victor Oladipo.
I'm Charlie Marino, and for our Each One Teach One project, we decided to look at the impact of black inventors over the late 19th and early 20th century.
We think it's very important to emphasize the impact of black inventors, like the impact they had on the 19th and 20th century.
So before taking this class, both of us were unsure about the impact that black inventors had, or if there even were any. I mean, obviously there are some, but I just didn't know of them or what they invented. So it's good for us to recognize them.
And when you think about it, like the impact that these inventors had, like most of them, of course, are white, but the more impactful inventions that came around were made by African Americans.
Yeah, and when we look at the early inventors, I feel like everyone just gives all the credit to the white inventors that everyone knows, like Alexander Graham Bell or Thomas Edison, but we didn't really look into all the black inventors. So that's what we're here to do. So the first thing we want to talk about is the black slaves' impact on Eli Whitney and the cotton gin. So the cotton gin is a machine that separates the cotton from its seeds.
This machine was made to make picking and harvesting cotton more efficient.
So Eli Whitney is who everyone gives all the credit to for this invention, but what people don't know is that black slaves really had just as much as an impact on this invention as Eli Whitney did. He's just an inventor who's known by many, but black slaves had just as much as an impact on he did, and they don't receive any credit for it. So what did the invention do? It entirely changed slavery and the whole process of picking cotton, because slaves would have to pick through it, and it would take serious time, and with this new invention they sped the process up really quick.
And it made cotton a major cash crop during that time as well.
So the first real inventor we want to talk about is Lewis Latimer. So you can talk a little bit about what he did.
Latimer invented the cotton filament for the light bulb, and the invention made everyday life more efficient while at the same time boosting the economy. He worked with Hiram Maxim, and he was a rival of Thomas Edison.
So that was his most well-known invention, but he also drafted the patent for Alexander Graham Bell's telephone. But everybody, when you think of the telephone, just thinks of Alexander Graham Bell, and no one gives Lewis Latimer any credit. But he was hired by Graham Bell in the 1800s and was one who designed the patent with him. So he was one of the most influential inventors that no one really talks about. Okay.
Our next inventor is Garrett Morgan, and he developed and invented the first traffic light. This was definitely one of the biggest inventions of the 19th century. Solved a lot of problems during that time.
Yeah, so Garrett Morgan and the traffic light solved problems instantly. It reduced the number of cars on the streets, and it regulated drivers. It also reduced the amount of accidents and reduced the amount of policemen that were required to be on the road. Morgan sold the rights for $40,000, and in today's time, that would be over $1 million. So this was definitely a big invention, and he also invented some of the first gas masks that were used in World War I.
Our next inventor is Elijah McCoy. He invented the automatic lubricator cap for train engines in 1872. The automatic cap made riding on trains easier, because occasionally trains would have to stop and then they'd have to lubricate manually. But the automatic...
Yeah, in the middle of their drive, they would have to put the oil on the train engine to keep it rolling. So this solved problems, so you could just go straight to wherever you were heading.
Made travel and transporting things much easier.
And McCoy also had 57 U.S. patents that we know of. So The next guy that we were going to talk about is George Washington Carver. He's one of the most well-known black inventors that there is. He was an agricultural scientist who developed hundreds of products using peanuts. He had over 1,000 inventions, but he didn't patent any of them, so he doesn't get a lot of credit for some of the major inventions that he made, but he was one of the most influential and prominent black inventors and just inventors overall in this time period.
So in conclusion, whether we really know it or not, black inventors have made a very large and important impact in our lives drastically. From the time we wake up until we go to sleep at night, we use at least one thing that has been made by an African American inventor. Whether it's the traffic light or the hairbrush, black inventors have made major contributions to our everyday lives.
And we just think that they need to be recognized, and that's what we hope this will do.